So I have been remiss in that I have not released a video in which I share with you the comics that I've been picking up from my local comic shops for a couple of weeks. In fact, I have a nice stack of books that have been piling up here in the office that I am finally going to share with you. And these new books are pretty, in some cases, like old books by this point, but I'm going to show them to you nevertheless. Stay tuned for the video. Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to another one of my videos. In this video, we are going to take a look at some new comics that are kind of sort of old comics by this point, and I'm going to share them with you. And I'm actually going to unbox something that I recently picked up from, I think it was Scout Comics. So we're going to take a look at that. And again, it's a nice stack of books that have basically been piling up here in the comic book room that I'm finally going to show you guys. And some of these I've read and some of them I have not. This first one I have not read. This is Wolverine number 3. This is from the new series. I read issue number 1. Thought it was good. Read issue number 2, didn't like it as much, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that issue number 3 of this new Wolverine series is going to be good. Still, by a large margin, the limited series that Chris Claremont wrote and worked on is my favorite Wolverine series. This one with issue 1 had the potential to be pretty high on the list, and I'm hopeful again that this is a series that will prove to be pretty awesome to read. I picked up Decorum a few weeks ago, and by Jonathan Hickman. This is going to be the last issue of this particular series that I read from Decorum. This is issue number 2. I did not enjoy this. I did not enjoy this at all. I stopped reading it not even halfway, like a fourth of the way through, and attempted to read it again after I initially quit, and I could not rally the troops on this one. So I think I'm going to be done with Decorum. A book that I actually picked up. I want to say that I actually read this. I picked it up, a different cover. I think it was a B cover that I picked up. I read it digitally after a recommendation from a subscriber, and then I actually went out and got 2 additional copies, and I want to say I have 2 more copies that are being mailed to me as we speak. And so I picked up a couple of copies of this particular book, Fantastic Four Empire issue number 0. And part of the reason why I decided to do that is because I believe that this is the first appearance of these 2 characters right here, which according to like an interview, I think it was like San Diego Comic-Con at home, there was an interview with like Dan Slott and one of the other writers, and they were talking about how these 2 characters are going to have an impact on the Fantastic Four moving forward. Now, I don't know what that impact is going to be, but given the size of Empire, how it has ballooned up and almost doubled in size from when we originally heard about it pre-Shelter in Place to where it is right now, I think that they have a plan, and it's a big plan. And if these 2 characters are central to that plan, that could have some ramifications. So I picked up, again, like 5 copies of this particular book. These 2 actually came from my local comic shop. Well, 3 of them have come from my local comic shop, and then I have 2 more that are being ordered that I picked up digitally, or online. So we'll see what happens with this, whether there's some magic to be made. But I have read that issue. I enjoyed it. I am reluctantly enjoying what is happening with Empire right now, to be honest with you. I was a little worried given the size of the crossover, the fact that I'm not big on crossovers, but I'm reading it and I'm actually enjoying it. And so, yeah, there you go. Speaking of things that I'm reading and enjoying, The Resistance. This is issue number 3 of 6, The Resistance. This is from AWA. I am enjoying this series. AWA is an indie publisher that is out there. They've been putting out a couple of titles. In my opinion, The Resistance is the best of what I have read. I am enjoying this. If you have not read this series, I encourage you to check it out. AWA, it is a solid read, at least, again, in my opinion. I picked up a couple of copies of this one. This is issue number 2 of Thor. I thought it was a really, really cool cover. And speaking of good writing, Donny Cates is doing an incredible job with Thor. I've been reading this from issue 1 all the way through where it is right now with, I think, issue 5. But I decided to get a couple of these later printings. This is the 3rd print of Thor issue number 2. Thought it was a cool cover, so I went ahead and snagged those from my local comic shop for cover price. So I felt very good about that. And I actually ordered them a couple of weeks ago, and he's like, cover price. So this next one is Fantastic Four X-Men issue number 4. Yes, I have not read this one. I'm looking forward to reading this one. I am enjoying what Chip Zdarsky is doing with the FF and X-Men. And this is a pretty awesome series. Looking forward to seeing what happens in this. Even though I kind of know what happens, I haven't read it. So I actually want to read it and see it revealed in front of me. So, really cool book. Immortal Hulk issue number 35 right there. I think I have the leader cover in here somewhere, I think. Maybe I set that aside. I don't know. This one is Venom issue number 26. A lot going on in Venom that I am also enjoying from my man Donny Cates. Red Mother from Boom Studios. Enjoying this one. What is this? Issue 6? I want to say that I've read almost all of them. It is a creepy kind of horror thing that I don't quite understand, but I'm still enjoying. I think the artwork is fun. The story is fun, definitely creepy, definitely different. Red Mother from Boom Studios. A couple of indies in there. I'm impressed. I'm impressing myself with it. This is a book that I recently talked about on the Ready, Set, Go preview show. This is the giant size Magneto. Little disappointed in what Jonathan Hickman did in this. I was expecting something that was grandiose, something that was very similar to, I think it was like X-Men number 4, when Magneto had that wonderful monologue towards the world leaders about what he was going to do. This one did not live up to the expectations, but it did not disappoint as much as like the Jean Grey, Emma Frost giant size did. This one is ahead of that one, and it's also ahead of the giant size Nightcrawler, which was not good, not bad. It's kind of there, but I don't know. It's just I'm not really enjoying these giant size the way that I had hoped that I would. So I only have one copy of that. Speaking of things that I'm not enjoying, Amazing Spider-Man 44, and here is 45. They are returning to the legacy numbers with this. I think this is 44 is issue number 845. Issue number 45 is legacy number 846. And they are returning. They are returning to the legacy numbers primarily on Amazing Spider-Man moving forward. So really cool to see what's happening with that. Fingers crossed that they reach that 1,000 mark. Couple of books here from Free Comic Book Day that I managed to pick up when I hit one of my local comic shops. I think another is doing Free Comic Book Day this coming weekend, so I may try to swing by there and pick up a couple of other books. But this is issue number 1 of Spider-Man right there. Here is issue 1 of X-Men. Really cool cover right there. And then here is X-Men issue number 10. This is a crossover with Empire. I have not read this one, but I'm actually looking forward to reading this. I love the ongoing X-Men series. I'm enjoying it and looking forward to reading issue number 10. And then this is another book that I picked up based upon a recommendation from one of you all. This is Bleed Them Dry. And this is issue number 2 from Vault Comics. I have issue number 1. I have not read it yet. I am looking forward to reading it. I've heard good things about this story, so I saw issue number 2, decided to go ahead and get it. It has to do with vampires, and so anything for me that has to do with vampires or war, I'm kind of on board with. So I went ahead and snagged that one. Looking forward to reading it. All right. So the next thing that I want to do is open this package right here. From Scout Comics. I actually ordered something from Scout a few weeks ago, so I'm going to crack that open in just a second. But before I do that, I want to give you all an opportunity to add a really cool comic to your own collection. This is the Go Collect giveaway video. This is the video that I basically do every single week, in which I embed a phrase into a video, which gives you the ability to capture that phrase and then enter the giveaway that we do, that is sponsored by the folks over at Go Collect. And they've been sponsoring this thing for almost 80 weeks now, and we are going to keep it rolling forward. So the book, as I get it out of its plastic, that you will have an opportunity to win, I think is a really nice book from the 1970s. Actually, from 1970. It is a 9.2 with white pages from the 70s. It is Detective Comics issue number 401. And this is where this is a Batgirl and Robin backup story. And it is a really, really cool Batman book right here that you can actually add to your own collection. All you have to do is a 15 center, man. All you have to do is head over to the community tab in just a few moments. And once there, you scroll down, you find the post where I'm talking about this week's Go Collect giveaway. And you know that it's this week's post because there will be a link there. You'll click on that link, you'll go to MailChimp, you plug in 3 pieces of information. 2 of them are relevant to you, and 1 of them is a phrase that I will give you in a second. You plug that stuff in, you hit the submit button, and then you sit back and wait until Sunday night at 7:30 when you tune in to the Ready, Set, Go preview show. Pacific time, that is. And you watch the show, and during that show, I will actually announce who the winner of this book is. You do not have to watch the show in order to be a winner, but you do have to find the show and watch it because you have a week to be able to claim your prize. So you don't have to be there for the live show, but you definitely want to tune in to the show to see if you are indeed the winner, because you need to claim your prize. And once you do claim it, you'll send me an email with all of your contact information so I can bundle it up and send it off to you. The requirements for the giveaway are relatively straightforward. Be a subscriber of the channel, be a resident of the United States, a resident of Canada, or have a mailing address in the US. That is it, right? This is a thank you to the subscribers of this channel who watch the content that I put out. That's why the bar for entry is so low. 1 entry per person, 1 entry per household. That way we can spread the love far and wide. And the phrase for this week is, what do we want to do for the phrase? Elephant head. Let's go with elephant head as the phrase. I say elephant head because my boy saw this cover and he asked, why was Batman fighting an elephant? And I said, buddy, he is not fighting an elephant. That is a statue on the wall. And so elephant head, 2 words, elephant head is the phrase for this week. You plug it in, and like I said, tune in to find out if you are the winner. That's a pretty cool book, and it's a pretty high grade for that particular book. And almost all of the books that we give away from the Go Collect sponsorship have a value somewhere between $150 and $200. And so if you're curious about that book, you can certainly look it up on the Go Collect website, and they will provide you all kinds of information about that book. And so this next thing that we're going to open up is actually a purchase, as I mentioned, from Scout Comics. A subscriber, and I cannot remember who it was at the time, made me aware that Scout had a book that was actually written by a pro wrestler who recently passed away. The guy actually was caught up in a riptide, and he basically allowed his son to be rescued by a lifeguard. And while that was happening, he was actually swept out to sea and lost. And so this particular book, which features, I believe, he and his son, is a book that Scout is putting out there with the proceeds actually going to his family. And so I picked up several copies of it. And so it looks like Scout actually put a free book in here. This is Scout Comics issue number 1 free. Scout Comics Presents. No clue what that is about, but we will check it out. But here is, and his name was Shad. I want to say Johnson, but I could be wrong about that. I could have gotten that wrong. But this is the cover. And it is really nice. It is a very, very striking cover. Shad actually wrote this story. I don't know who did the drawing and the lettering and the inking and all that kind of stuff, but he actually wrote this one, and it is a story about a father and a son. And so I thought that this was a really, really awesome thing to contribute to. So I actually picked up multiple copies of this particular book to try to show some support for the family. And I may end up giving several of these books away back to the comic book community to kind of, spread the love around. So with that, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you did, I want to encourage you to hit the thumbs up button and to leave a comment behind so we can mix it up in the comment section. If you need to reach out to me, you can do that in one of two ways: on Instagram at Regie Collects, or you can send me an email to reggie@regiecollects.com. Take care.